The broadcast of the regular meeting of the Minneapolis Local Board of Appeal and Equalization will now begin. Chair Anderson, you're muted.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this live broadcast of our virtual meeting. This meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota statutes section 13D.021 due to the declared local health pandemic. For the record, my name is Neil Anderson and I am chair of the Local Board of Appeal and Equalization. I will now call this meeting to order. The open meeting law requires a roll call vote be conducted during a virtual meeting, and a certification form will be completed for each local board meeting. This initial roll call will allow the city assessor to complete the certification form on behalf of the board members with a verbal signature. Will the clerk call the roll so that we may verify the presence of a quorum?
Board Member Bland.
Present.
Board Member Havig.
Present.
Board Member Reed.
Present.
Board Member Tinker.
Present.
Chair Anderson.
Present.
All board members are present. There is a quorum.
Let the record reflect a quorum of the board is present. We will proceed to the agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. We'll hear a call-in case first this afternoon. It's item number 11, 431 River Street, case number 2003395. I'll ask the clerk to identify the speaker in queue for the appeal related to 431 River Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the applicant, Abhishek Patel, is in the queue. And when you're called upon, you'll state your name and address for the record and then proceed with your comments, Mr. Chair.
First, we will be calling the applicant, who will be given 5 minutes to present their appeal. When your case is called, we ask you that you state your name and address for the record and then present your appeal to the board. Next, we will call on the assessor staff and they'll be given 5 minutes to present their report to the board. And finally, the board will have 5 minutes for questions on the case, and the board will consider and take an action on cases heard at the end of each meeting day. Property owners will be notified of the decision by mail after the board has adjourned. Go ahead, Mr. Patel. You have 5 minutes to make your comments.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abhishek Patel. I reside at 431 River Street, Minneapolis 55401. I'm making an appeal on the basis of the last two sales in my area, and one of the items that I came across was that, both of the recent sales were much larger properties, and they sold at price per square foot of between $267 and $268 per square foot. I do understand that if a property is slightly smaller, that there may be a slight premium to the price per square foot. But even with a 10% premium, a realistic value will be closer to $850 as opposed to the $875 that has been suggested. I spoke to my realtor and they also agree that that seems to be a more realistic valuation. In addition, for the 2020 valuation, or 2021 valuation, given the current circumstances around COVID and the slowdown in the economy, I've also been reading a number of articles that indicate that there is an expected slowdown in the housing market. As such, I don't believe that there's going to be a significant increase in the value of my property. I'll pause there for now.
Oh, okay. Is the assessor ready to comment?
Chair Anderson, we have Matthew Bai here to present this case for you this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bai.
Actually, it's Andrea Jones.
Oh, I apologize, Andrea. It's Andrea Jones.
That's okay.
I'm confused.
Hello, Chairperson Anderson and members of the board. My name is Andrea Jones. I'm a residential real estate appraiser with the City of Minneapolis. I was a fee appraiser for 17 years. and have been assessing since 2013. First with Anoka County and with the City of Minneapolis for the past 4.5 years, assessing in the North Loop and Southwest neighborhoods of Minneapolis. Today I'm presenting case 20-0395, a townhome located at 431 River Street. The 2020 assessed value was $935,000. The indicated value for 2020 is $875,000. The subject is located in the Landings Townhome Development within the North Loop neighborhood. The 11-acre development has 60 units. The homes have 8 layout plans with the above ground size of homes ranging from approximately 2,300 square feet to 3,400 square feet. The development is located south of Plymouth Avenue North, adjacent to West River Parkway and the Mississippi River, and north of 4th Avenue North. It is one of only 2 townhome developments in the North Loop. The North Loop neighborhood is one of the fastest growing neighborhoods within the city. The desirable location is nearby trails, the Mississippi River, parks, nearby restaurants, and entertainment. A desk review was completed on April 27, 2020, and an interior inspection was completed on May 1st, 2019 for an appeal. The subject townhome is an interior unit with 2,570 square feet above ground on 3 levels and a finished rec room in the basement. The view to the rear is of the main street within the development and the back of townhomes within the development. The view to the front is of other townhomes in the cul-de-sac and some apartments and condos beyond the development. The home was built in 1997 with stucco exterior and has 2-car attached garage. The home has 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. The only update to the home since it was purchased in 2016 is a luxury vinyl flooring that was added to the family room level between the main and upper level. The home has hardwood floors, high ceilings, and painted millwork throughout the main floor. There are 2 gas fireplaces, one in the living room and one in the family room. The kitchen has maple shaker-style cabinetry, granite counters, a breakfast counter, and granite tile backsplash. The home has a large master suite and deluxe bath. Overall, the condition of the home is considered above average. However, the basement finishing, which consists of rec room and rough and bath, is of lesser quality finishing than the norm for townhomes in the area, with basic finishes and acoustical ceiling tile. The home has 2 decks, a larger one off the living dining area on the back of the home, and another smaller one off the front of the home off the family room. 5 comparable sales were used for the analysis. All comparable sales were from within the subject's development in either the same cul-de-sac or the next cul-de-sac over. None of the comparables selected nor the subject back to West River Parkway. All comparable sales sold in 2019. Adjustments were made to all comparable sales for lot size, above ground square footage, basement finish, difference in baths, and fireplaces. I inspected comparable sale number 5 at 519 River Street in the next cul-de-sac over on May 23rd, 2019 for an appeal. It sold for $1,900,000 on September 23rd, 2019. Comp number 1 at 433 River Street sold for $875,000 on October 24th of 2019. Comp number 1 was given the most consideration due to being the most recent sale, being next door, and having similar total finished size. Comp number 1 has 3,100 total finished square footage compared with the subject's 2,826 finished square footage. So to recap, the adjusted sale price of the comparable sales range from $869,000 to $1,333,000. The 2020 assessed market value was $935,000. The indicated value for 2020 is $875,000. Thank you for your time and consideration. Are there any questions?
Okay, are there any questions or discussion from the board? Mr. Patel?
Yes, the only question sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
I wanted to confirm with you that you're looking for a valuation of around 850,000. Is that correct?
Yes, that seems more appropriate just based on everything else that I see in terms of information I've gathered.
Okay. Did you have a separate question?
Yeah, it was just around one of the recent sales of 501, which was the square footage for that above ground is 3,323, and that was assessed at 803,000 last year. So it seems it was even lower than mine, and I know that one is finished to a similar standard because the people that live there, I know them quite well.
Okay, thank you.
So I was just taking that into consideration. Thanks.
Okay, Board Member Havig.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarification, we are moving this property from 935,000 to 850,000 or 875,000. Is that correct?
That's what the indicated value is from the assessor. The homeowner would like to see something in the valuation of the 850 range.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep. Tinker is next.
Can I ask the Ms. Jones to explain the effective date of the appraisal and what impact coronavirus may have had on it? Thank you.
Hello, Board Member Tinker and Chair Anderson. At this time, as far as COVID and the pandemic, we're still assessing the situation. So our valuation is as of January 2nd, 2020, and all these comparables were from 2019.
Malmquist.
Chair Anderson and to Member Havig, there wasn't an actual motion on the floor. If you would like a recap of what the actual original 2020 EMV and recommended or indicated EMV were, we can review that with you if you would like.
No, thank you. I just needed a clarification that it was going from 935 to 875, which was being lowered. That was just a clarification.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, having none, we're through with your case, Mr. Patel. And
can I just clarify one point? Sorry.
Sure.
The assessed value last year for tax purposes was 850. It wasn't 935.
Okay. Yes, we have that here. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Mr. Patel, you after we'll consider these things and discuss them at the end of after hearing all the cases today, and you will be notified of our decision in mail after the board has adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Is the next case in the queue?
Mr. Chair, the next appellant has not called in yet to the meeting.
Okay. Well, which direction should we go then, Ms. Malmquist?
Chair Anderson, you could proceed ahead with a write-in case if you would like. I believe you left off with case 20BH-0162. The next scheduled hearing was for 1:05,
Okay.
and so I would expect that they may join the call anytime.
Okay, we'll go on to a writing case. The property item number 28, 3952 Ewing. We'll all take a second and I'll pull up those notes here. Okay, item number Item number 28, 3952 Ewing Avenue South, case number 20BH0162. The applicant is Deborah Sugarman. The 2020 city assessed value is $549,500. And are there any questions or comments from board members on this property? Board member Bland?
Where in our packets approximately is this one? I'm not finding it.
Page 576 and 577.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I found that the comps provided were totally irrelevant, and I would move to sustain the value of $549,500.
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Havig, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Havig to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $549,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board member Bland.
Aye.
Board member Havig.
Aye.
Board member Reed.
Aye.
Board member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 29, 1333 Washburn Avenue North, case number 20BH-0158. The applicant is Michael Mensa. 2020 city assessed value is $132,000. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this case? Board member Bland.
The homeowner provided a list of sales, recent sales that all occurred in February of this year. So they really aren't relevant to what we're trying to do. I would move to sustain the value at $132,000 for the property at 1333 Washburn Avenue North.
Tinker, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $132,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board member Bland.
Aye.
Board member Havig.
Aye.
Board member Reed.
Aye.
Board member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
It's my understanding that we now have a call-on available for item number 10, 3605 4th Avenue South.
That's correct.
So we'll call on the applicant, who will be given 5 minutes to present their appeal. When your case is called, we ask that you state your name and address for the record and then present your appeal to the board. Next, we'll call on the assessor staff, and they will be given 5 minutes to present their report to the board. Finally, the board will have 5 minutes for questions on the case. The board will consider and take action on the cases heard at the end of each meeting day, and the property owners will be notified of the decision by mail after the board has adjourned. Will you The clerk introduce the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant, Alioune Thiam, 3605 4th Avenue South. Please state your name and address for the record, and then proceed with your comments.
Alioune Thiam, 3605 4th Avenue South, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55409.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes for your appeal.
Yes, thank you for the board. So I'm coming to appeal my property assessment. I have been trying over the last 3 years to work with the assessor office, try to get them to recognize that the value they're putting is not incorrect. For the last 3 years, every year I appealed them, they kind of couldn't come up with some excuses that I didn't think it was valid or acceptable or even true, to refuse to recognize the value of things. So as I stated in my document, I purchased the properties on the market in 2011 for $37,000. Now they're denying that it was not a market value, which I didn't even contest at the time, because I think the first year after the property was still assessed for $250,000 property taxes. So, which you can say why? I mean, anyway, purchased it for 37, say reasonable, because I understand, again, as I say, I understand, we live in a society and we have everybody to contribute. So I'm not opposed to any fair or any reasonable market. So the last couple of years, it's been increasing, but in a reasonable pace, at least in line with market, or at least the average increase in the city. Except in the last 3 years, last 2 years mainly, every year my properties increased 3 times the rate of the city. For reason I don't know. I have made many changes. I haven't made any changes, no improvement, nothing. And now it is the value that has no line with neither my neighbors nor the exact same building. That's one block away from where I am living. And further, it is even on the west side of town, which means in the side of town that's quote-unquote higher value properties. So it's just not understandable. It has no basis on facts to make this assessment of value. I compare everything. Every time I call and say, well, you cannot compare with your neighbor, you have to compare with sales. I say, but okay, then my neighbors have to compare with sales. And if we compare with the same cell, if X equal Y and Z equal Y, X and Z has to be equal. This is how the transitive. There is no really magic in this two simple equation. So for somehow, then the only reasonable conclusion is somehow my house is being compared with a pool of, I don't know what fictive houses, and my neighbors or other people's houses are compared with a different set of pool. For why? I don't know. Did they give me reason? No. Okay, every time they say, well, we compare, or is it comparable? And I go to the Zillow, find comparable. I go to Zillow, they say, hey, they give me automatically the comparable. I take that snapshot, give it to them, and say, well, they don't compare your house has this much, the house has this little. I say, but how do you know? Because I have never filed a form saying, hey, my house is this much the house. Because one of the other excuses I had 2 days ago, or at least 2 days, recently, was that the other house that I'm saying is the exact replica of my building. I went even in the house 2 years ago, tried to sue her. Somehow they say, well, that house is 2-bedroom, your house is 3-bedroom. I say, where did that come from? We have the same sunroom. If you count mine as a bedroom, you have to count it as a bedroom. So they say, well, I don't know, declare. I say, and I realized honestly first, I said, a couple of days I've been thinking, but when did I file information say this is 3-bedroom and this is 2-bedroom? Maybe I made that mistake at one point. I don't know. And I don't recall that ever happening, which tells me that's not even true, or even just some maybe, I don't know, discrimination, making mine being appreciated to some value, them other being thing. So now this again, in the background of reality we are living in this city and mainly in that county, make me angry, upset, offended. You can't tame the word about this because that's really. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry because I'm getting a call from the city. I don't know how is that. Okay. So and I'm saying I hope that's not the reality. That's not the reason why this is happening. Even though you want to be kind of giving people the benefit of the doubt, but the fact is really making you very hard to be able to say, okay, no, this has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with any other horrible thing going on, really. But the remaining conclusion is that. So anyway, I'm repeating this from the beginning to now. This has never been I mean, for the first 4 years, I mean, there was nothing out of line. That house is worth maybe $250,000, $300,000. Yes, I can definitely, even if it was, you know, the deep of the housing crisis, people were selling houses at below market value. When they can now they're going to compete that now it's above market value. They're okay with this. That's reasonable. But taking a house that's the exact same replica as a house and valued in a valuation that's not in line with them, I don't think that's justifiable. And having the house that's not appreciated, nothing happened to it, and it is increasing by 3 times or 3.2 because average housing in Minnesota in Minneapolis increased I think by 3 or 4%. My increase by 10+% is not reasonable. It has no fact and have no basis on fact on reality. So again, the comparable I gave you, you can look at my neighbors. The comparable you can go to Zillow as I gave you. None of that is in line with the valuation they're putting in this property. And I'm really hoping that you guys will take a deep look and understand this is not right, this is not fair, and this is even not legal, to be honest with you. Having different people be assessed based on, I don't know what criteria is that, but it's not based on the market value of the property, nor any, you know, objective metric that say, okay, this house should be valued this much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll hear from the, I will now call on the assessor's office staff to present their report to the board.
Chair Anderson, this case will be presented by Matthew Bai. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Bai.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. My name is Matt Bai. I'm an assessor with the City of Minneapolis. I'm presenting case number 20-0323, which is located at 3605 4th Avenue South in the Central neighborhood. The January 2nd, 2020 estimated market value is $393,500. The analysis of this subject indicates a value of $395,000. I interviewed the property owner via telephone and completed a desktop review of this property on April 27th, 2020. The subject is a 2.5-story triplex. It is surrounded by a mix of single and multifamily dwellings. Across the street is a library, and directly adjacent to the north is a community garden. The subject property was built in 1915 and has 3,969 square feet above grade. The 3 units are separated by floor, with the first 2 units having 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom each. Another assessor from our office physically inspected the property in 2018 and determined that the sunrooms in each of these units qualified as bedrooms, and they are currently rented out as such. The 3rd floor unit has 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. All 3 kitchens in the subject property are in fair condition. The basement is 1,574 square feet and is unfinished. There is a 3-stall garage at the rear of the property on the alley. It is used as a 2-stall garage and is rented out to the first 2 units. Overall, the property is in below average condition. I relied on both the sales comparison approach and income approach for this analysis of value. For sales comparison, a thorough search was made for triplex properties with similar characteristics to the subject. There are few sales of properties that are both as large as the subject and are in similar condition. Adjustments were made for square footage and condition, as well as kitchen quality. Adjustments were also made for garage and off-street parking spaces. Comparable 1 is located at 3016 Portland Avenue and sold for $487,000 in August of 2019. It is similar in bedroom and bathroom count, but is superior in condition, and all 3 kitchens have been updated. Comparable 2 is at 3241 Clinton Avenue and sold for $323,378 in March of 2019. It is in similar condition to the subject, but is approximately 1,000 square feet smaller. Comparable 3 is located at 3148 Pleasant Avenue and sold for $377,300 in November of 2018. It is also in similar condition to the subject. It is larger than the subject, but has no off-street parking. Comparable 4 is located at 3220 Nicollet Avenue and sold for $364,320 in May 2019. This property is in superior condition and has more off-street parking, but is overall inferior to the subject because it is significantly smaller. Comparable 5 is located at 2926 12th Avenue South and sold for $434,000 in August of 2019. This property is inferior in square footage, but is overall superior to the subject due to its superior condition, parking spaces, and amenities. After the adjustments were made on the comparable sales, the values ranged from $372,378 to $405,500. The value indicated by the sales comparison approach is $385,000. In the income approach, market assumptions for rental rates were derived from rental comparables. $4,000 per month was used for the subject's rent, with an annual income of $48,000. The gross income multiplier was determined to be 8.5, and when multiplied by the potential gross income, the indicated value is $408,000. From the two approaches to value analyzed, the indicated values range from $385,000 to $408,000. Given this range of values, the overall indicated value is $395,000, which supports the 2020 assessed value of $393,500. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Bai. Are there any discussion or questions by the board? Board Member Bland.
Mr. Bai, I just want to verify with you that the comps you chose were all triplexes. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
May I add a clarification on that?
Go ahead, Mr. Tham.
I wanted to say is this house, quote unquote, is being labeled as a triplex, but it was built as a duplex. We are the one, I mean, we when we bought it, it was already converted. The third unit we call it triplex is the attic that's converted in a unit. So legally, it's not even a triplex. It's a 2.5 story, as I say. So taking it and comparing to house that was built as triplex, I think is even not reasonable or it's not fair. So this house is a 2 stories and supposed to be 2 houses, which is exactly the same replica as a house on 31 on Cleveland. So this is a 2.5. So the third unit is a quote unquote attic that is converted. That's why the reasonable rental is $800 and the accounting is $4,000, which is not correct.
Okay, thank you.
What would enter that unit is a hit for more than $800.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Havik.
Yes, for clarification, are there 3 leases on this building or just 2 leases?
You mean the renting?
Yes.
We don't do leases. Yes, there are three different people who live there.
Okay, so basically if there are 3 different people there, it's a triplex.
Well, that's the thing, but the unit is not at fair market. You cannot rent it for $1,000. If you want, I can rent it to you for $1,000 if you want. But it's not, you're not going to take it because it's hard. It's a small attic that's converted into a unit.
Okay, so you're renting to a non-conforming building?
I'm not saying it's non-conforming. The city inspected and approve it, and you're paying rental license for that, and you guys approve it. It's not, I don't know, conforming or whatever.
So you're renting to 3 different people. Okay, thank you. Just clarification.
Yeah, sure. I just want to make sure that you know that it's not really a triplex building, it's a 2plex in building. And the attic was converted into a unit.
Okay, thank you. You've made that clear. Are there any other comments from board members or questions? Okay, having none, we thank you for your time today, Mr. Thyme, and the board will consider and take action on the case at the end of each meeting day, and you will be notified of the decision by mail after the board has adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, next item, we are going back to the write-in cases. Item number 30, 2900 University Avenue Southeast, number 211, case number 20BH-0157. give the board a few seconds to pull that up.
Does anyone have a page number for this?
I will give it to you. It is 558, 559. Property owner is Trina Port, and the 2020 city assessed value is $182,500. And if I'm seeing this correctly, one of the comps provided by the buyer is at 4325 Bryant Avenue South. Is that, Ms. Malmquist, can you confirm that that was submitted with this file?
For clarification, you're asking Chair Anderson if what was submitted with the file?
There's on page 565, I believe there's a comp that was submitted with this file, and I'm not sure if that was meant to be with this or not. I just want to confirm that.
Based on what I can tell, it should have been included with this. I will have our staff just double check.
Okay, thank you. It seems like a very long ways to pull a comparable from. Board Member Bland.
That was the first thing I noticed too. Clearly from the way this is lays out, that is a comp that the homeowner felt was relevant. I disagree. The only relevant, even close to relevancy, was the one at 925 30th. The one on 48th and 53rd is not particularly relevant either. I would suggest that we sustain the value on this one, but certainly open to discussion.
Any other board members would like to comment or have questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Board Member Reed.
I just wanted to comment, I'm familiar with the building, then there would be plenty of comps for her to submit that were right in the building, so I agree with Faye Bland.
Okay. Would someone put forward a motion?
For clarification, the value was 182,500.
Correct.
I make a motion to sustain the value of 182,500 for the property at 2900 University Avenue Southeast, number 211.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Was that who seconded it, please?
Bland.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved by Havig and seconded by Bland that we sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $182,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Dinker.
Aye. Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
We'll move on to item number 31, 4502 Beard Avenue South, case number 20BH-0156. The applicant is Yvette Webster. 2020 city assessed value is $703,000. Are there any comments from any of the board members or questions? Board Member Bland.
The homeowner has provided several comps. However, there is no indication of when any of these properties sold. So I don't see how we can take them into consideration.
Okay. And there are no photographs or any other documenting information other than a total finished square footage, which makes it very hard to make any decision. Any other comments or questions? If there are none, I would suggest board member make a motion.
I move we sustain the value at $703,000 for the property at 4502 Beard Avenue South.
Tinker, second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $703,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, clerk. We'll move on to item number 32, 4815 Oakland Avenue, case number 20BH-0143. And the applicant is Fritz Skinner. City assessed market value of $566,500. And from what I can determine from this, it's a 2013 was a new construction in 2013, and the applicant doesn't feel at this point that it compares with the brand new construction that's being built currently. Are there any other comments or questions from board members? Board Member Bland.
The homeowner provided a whole bunch of comparables, and they were kind of all over the place. Here's one that sold in 2013. Here's one that sold in January. Another one in 2013, 2012, 13. So not helpful.
Well, I think the 2013 might be the subject property.
Oops, okay, wait a minute. That's what happens when you go fast, right?
Most of the comps were from 2019. But,
okay. Okay, so comp number 4 is 2012.
Number 4.
Comp number 2 is 2020.
I see that. Okay, corrected. Thank you.
So I did not go through the exercise of pulling out the ones that were irrelevant and re-evaluating at that point.
My concern was the comparable at that many of the comparables are based strictly on square footage. There's one comparable at 4346 Fifth Avenue that is clearly not new construction. 1920s built house, 1.5 story, that good share of the finished is in the lower level. So I too am struggling with these comparables.
Yeah.
Any comments from any other board members? Lacking such, is anyone willing to put forward a motion? I'll repeat are there any board members willing to put forward a motion? Havoc.
So for clarification, what was the value of the 2020?
2020 is 566,500. 2019 it was 529,500.
Okay. And we don't have the data to make a judgment on this case?
The comparables provided by the seller many of them don't directly apply to this property.
Okay, then I make a motion to sustain the value of 566,500 for 4815 Oakland Avenue.
Do I have a second?
Reed, second.
Okay, it has been moved by Havoc and seconded by Reed to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at 566,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havoc.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, clerk. We'll move on to item 33, 2508 34th Avenue South, case number 20BH-0139. It is 2508 34th Avenue South, the applicant Zebulon Thomas. 2020 city assessed market value is 278,000. And that is, are there any comments or questions from board members? The property owner, the applicant, feels that the square footage is off in the measuring of their property, and when was the last time the city has measured this property? Is there someone from the assessor's office that might be able to answer that question? Alvin?
Chair Anderson, members of the board, we do not actually have the measurement of I don't have anything that shows when we've recently measured the property. We just have the dimensions of the house.
Okay, thank you. Board person Bland?
In looking at the information that the seller provided, they pulled from the Zillow website a list of addresses that have sold in 2019. They range from $52,152 to $334,000. So, and then theirs is kind of right in the middle at, they'd say 250. Again, you've got properties here that aren't comparable to the property in question. So I'm not really in favor of making an adjustment on the valuation that the city made.
Upon reviewing it here, the owner's dimensions of 735 square feet on the main floor of heated space, the assessed value does seem high to me by approximately 20,000. Board Member Reed.
Based on the square footage discrepancy, I would agree with Anderson, Chair Anderson. It's quite high for a small building or a small property.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? From the city assessor's office, Timothy Alvin.
Chair Anderson, members of the board, someone from our office did inspect the property in 2018, and we did verify our information at that point.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you. And for the record, the city has it at 792 square feet with 192 finished in the lower level. Is there someone that would like to add comments or make a motion here? Any board member? Havik.
For clarification, what was your number that you're comfortable to make a motion to lower?
Somewhere in the 250 to 260 range is where I'm comfortable. Other members may have different feelings.
Okay.
I believe Board Member Bland didn't feel there was enough information to change it.
Well, I'll make a motion to lower 2508 34th Avenue South to 260,000.
Do I have a second on that? Oh, excuse me. Rebecca Malmquist has requested the floor.
Chair Anderson and members of the board, I will just again remind you, reading from the handbook, that it is assumed that the assessor has correctly valued and classified all property. The burden of proof rests on the property owner, who must present factual evidence to disprove the assessor's valuation or classification of property. I just want to remind you of the obligation to make sure that your decisions are always based on some factual information.
And the Homer did provide a list of properties, of which I have looked at several of them. Granted, the list is long, and the information they provided is incomplete, but by checking out the addresses, I stand by what I recommend. And we have a motion on the floor at 260,000. Do we have a second?
Reed, second.
Okay, it has been moved by Havig and seconded by Reed to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to 260,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Nay.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 4 ayes and 1 nay, the motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 34, 2736 Hennepin Avenue, case number 20BH-0137. And it is a commercial property. Applicant is Patricia Fletcher, Inc. And 2020 city assessed value is at $2,142,000. The applicant submitted an appraisal, commercial appraisal that was done on 4/23/20, and the valuation is at $2 million even, $200 million or $2 million even. Ask the board for any questions or comments. Board Member Tinker.
Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time looking at this appraisal. I did note that the effective date was April of 2020, but most of the sales were from 2019 and no time of sale adjustment was applied. So there's a lot of important information redacted from this, but from what I can see, this looks like a perfectly reasonable appraisal in my opinion. So wondering if anyone else has comments.
After reviewing it last evening, I felt the same way. Board Member Bland.
I would tend to agree. The appraisal was done just last month, but since we're really looking at last year, the comps were reasonable, and I would be in favor of $2 million for the value assessment.
Are there any other comments or questions from board members? Hearing none, I look for a motion from one of the members.
This is Tinker. I make a motion to amend the value to $2 million.
Can you state it with the property address, please?
Yeah, I make a motion to reduce the value to $2 million for 2736 Hennepin Avenue.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Tinker and seconded by Havig. We move to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $2 million even. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 35, 1809 Irving Avenue South, case number 20BH-0135. The property applicant is Daniela Deering. The 2020 city assessed market value is $1,200,000. And the owner submitted an appraisal from 2018, from November of 2018, for $950,000. I do have some other notes here that there was permits pulled in 2018 for $312,000 for a two-story addition, and in 2019 for $22,500 for a new garage or garage repair. I'm not sure which. Are there any board members that have any comments or questions on this property? Board Member Havik. You might be muted.
There you go. All right, without having my booklet here, was there substantial information to back up the request, or was it just an old appraisal?
It is November of 18, so it's a little old. If we take the appraisal at face value and apply appreciation on top of that, we would end up a little less than the current assessed value.
Do we do that?
We can, or we can rely on other information. There is other information in here. Board Member Bland.
I was fine with the appraisal as it stands, but again, want to note that it is not that updated. And what my suggestion would be to take the 950 appraisal from the end of 2018 and add $50,000 for time elapsed and come up with a value of $1 million as opposed to $1.2 million.
Are there any other comments or questions regarding this property? Timothy Elvin with the city.
Chair Anderson, members of the board, it does show that there was additional permitted work in 2019.
I mentioned that at the beginning of the garage. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the board?
I guess that I would side with phase analysis of the dated appraisal plus appreciation and go with her suggestion.
Okay. I feel a little bit higher adjustment would be necessary due to the new garage on the property as well. That was done in 2019. That would not have been a part of the appraisal. So a little bit higher. Does anyone want to put forward a motion? Bland.
Okay, I have a comment. I would like to take into account that garage was done since the appraisal was done. And so would suggest $1 million, 1 million. Let's see, what do I want to do? 1 million, yeah, no. I'll stick with the million. Sorry.
I'd recommend $1,050,000. Does anyone want to put forward a motion?
Sure, I go with that. I move that we adjust the value to $1,050,000 for the property at, where are we? 1809 Irving Avenue South.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Havig, second.
It's been moved by Bland and seconded by Havig to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $1,050,000. I will ask the clerk to call the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes and the motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 36, 215 10th Avenue South, number 624. Case number 20BH-0126. The applicant is Pamela McRae. 2020 city assessed value is $810,500. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? All that was provided by the applicant is a few one-line items of, I assume, recent sales. I can't see the actual close dates on this. Board Member Bland.
The information provided by the homeowner is scant and not very helpful, and I would suggest that we sustain the value.
Any other comments or questions, or I will entertain a motion?
I move that we sustain the value for the property at 215 10th Avenue South, number 624, at $810,000.
Tinker, second.
I need a correction here. The city assessed value is $810,500. Is that what your Board Member Bland?
My substitute motion will be that we sustain the value of $810,500 for the property at 215 10th Avenue South, number 624, Is
Thank
that okay with my seconder?
Tinker, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $810,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to item 37, 3656 45th Avenue South, case number 20BH-0112. The applicant is, and there's two names in the report, Jane Pamperin or Jane Paulson. That's one of the two. And the 2020 city assessed value is $307,000. I believe the owner has requested $290,000, and they submitted an appraisal that was completed on April of 2020. Are there any comments from or questions from board members? Just of note, the appraisal was done for a cash out refinance. Board Member Bland.
The good appraisal, however, one of the comps was from last month. So taking that out, I would agree that the value would be $290,000.
Okay, thank you. I felt the same way after reviewing the appraisal. Are there any other comments from board members? Lacking any, I would ask for a motion.
I move that we reduce the value from $307,000 to $290,000 for the property at 3656 45th Avenue South.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Havig, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Havig to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $290,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Moving on to item 38, 2727 Taylor Street, case number 20BH-0110. The 2020 assessed market value is $347,000. The owner is requesting, I believe, $275,760. Are there any comments or questions from board members? Board Member Bland, I don't know if what I'm seeing is a current request for the floor. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, I think I'm getting a little worn here, but on page 305, it sounds like the homeowner is relying on square foot discrepancy. Has anybody got any clarification on that? I'm not even, yeah, I don't even know where to go. The city has it at gross building area 1,970 something. Now he's saying it's listed at 3,104. I'm totally confused.
I cannot add to that.
Okay. Can somebody from the assessor's office do a check and give us any insight?
I believe they're addressing the property next door at 2723 Taylor as 3,208 square feet, and that the subject property is at 3,104. And as such, their property should be valued less than their neighbors.
Okay, I'm
Can't
still
be open
confused.
with the city. Mr. Alvin.
Chair Member Anderson, members of the board, sorry, my computer had just froze up.
Go ahead.
But we did have our square footage is at 19, it's roughly like 1,900 square feet. And let me pull that back up, please.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from board members? I have little reason to doubt that a correction might be needed, but I fail to see that the homeowner has provided ample evidence to make an adjustment here. Do other board members agree with me or have their own thoughts on that? And without comments, I'll call for a motion. Board Member Bland.
I would agree that the information provided isn't really helpful to make a determination, and I would move to sustain the value of $347,000 for the property at 2727 Taylor Street Northeast.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Havig, second.
It's been moved by Bland and seconded by Havig to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $347,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 39, 3433 15th Avenue South, case number 20BH-0107. Property applicant is Nathaniel Phillips. 2020 assessed value is $581,500. The owner is requesting $492,000. And we have just a 2-page summary here from the homeowner. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Malmquist.
Chair Anderson, I was only going to, I put my name in queue only to explain where that square footage came from on the previous case.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Bland. Board Member Bland. You must be muted.
Talking to myself again. You made a comment that of what the homeowner was asking for. What did you say the homeowner was wanting?
$275,760. At least that's what I have in my notes here. That's at the page 305, end of the second paragraph. That value would be $275,760 and not $347.
What page are you on?
305.
My page 305 is Taylor.
Oh.
Back to the Taylor case.
Sorry.
Okay. This case ends at page 300.
Excuse me, the homeowner wanted, city assessed is $581,500 and the owner is requesting $492,000. And that's on page 299.
Okay. What address are we on?
We are on 3433 15th Avenue South.
Well, no wonder. I'm on the wrong one.
Well, apparently I was too.
All right, let me find this. Give me that address again.
3433 15th Avenue South. Case
Okay.
number 20BH-0107.
All right, let me see if I can find that. It's got to be here somewhere.
Are there any other board members that have comments or questions about this property? Personally, I find the information provided by the home or the applicant to be not fully realized and make it difficult to make any adjustments based on that information. Do any other board members have any comments? Or would a board member be willing to make a motion?
Well, I will make a motion based on the lack of evidence to move forward to sustain the value of $581,500 for 3433 15th Avenue South.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Reed.
It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Reed to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $581,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
The next case, item number 40, 3914 36th Avenue South, case number 20BH-0106. The property owner again is Nathaniel Phillips. 2020 is city assessed market value is $310,500. The owner is requesting $268,500. The explanation was the same as what was provided in the previous property. Again, just a 2-page description with 1-line comments. Are there any comments or questions on this from this property from board members? Board Member Havig.
again, lack of information to follow up on the request.
Thank you. Would you want to put a motion forward?
I put a motion forward to sustain the value of the city assessor at $310,500 for the property address at 3914 36th Avenue South.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Land.
It's been moved by Havig and seconded by Bland to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $310,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 41, 920 Franklin Terrace, case number 20BH-0099. Property owner is Andrew Carroll, or applicant is Andrew Carroll. 2020 assessed city assessed market value of $545,000. Are there any comments or questions from board members on this property? Board Member Bland.
Once again, no real information provided by the homeowner, some photographs, but nothing that we can rely on to come up with a evaluation, and I would say sustain.
Based on what I see, I agree. Are there any other comments or questions from board members? If not, I'd look forward to a motion.
I move that we sustain the value of $545,000 for the property at 920 Franklin Terrace.
Do I have a second? It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Reed to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $545,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 42, 2930 Park Avenue, case number 20BH-0098. The applicant is John Bartelt, and the assessed value is $499,000. City assessed 2020 market value is at $409,000. Are there any comments or questions from board members? Board Member Bland, did you have a comment on this?
Insufficient information.
Thank you. There are some comps provided. Do any of the other board members have any comments on this?
I'll make a motion based on the lack of evidence to sustain the value of $409,000 for 2930 Park Avenue.
Is there a second? A motion has been made. Is there a second? For lack of a second, this motion is dead. I will request another motion. Board Member Bland.
Yes, Chair Anderson?
Oh, I thought you had requested the floor.
No.
Board Member Reed or Board Member Tinker, do you have any thoughts or would you like to make a motion?
This is Reed, and it's just struggling with the 409 in that area, and I did provide a couple of comps and the activity on Lake Street. So for me, 409 is a bit high.
Okay. Do you have a number in mind?
Well, I don't have a fair number in mind right now, no.
Okay. Board Member Tinker.
Yeah, I'm still looking through the documentation provided. I really don't have strong feelings one way or the other on this.
Okay. Board Member Havig, would you like to restate your motion or revise it?
I'll restate the motion. I'll restate the motion to reduce the value to $400,000 for 2930 Park Avenue.
Is there a second?
Reed, second.
Okay. It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Reed to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $400,000. I will ask the clerk to call a roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Item 43, 2744th Street West, number 306, case number 20BH-0097. The applicant is Noel Tiemann, and the 2020 city assessed value is $184,000, and I believe that is for the house and garage. And I would like confirmation of that from the city assessor, and the owner is looking for $174,000. They had appraisal done for April of 2018 for $175,000. If this is a current request, Board Member Bland.
It's current. This is one of 4 buildings that were renovated all around the same time, just prior to the recession, within a block of each other in the downtown Linden Hills area. I'm very familiar with this. I have just sold one in one of the nearby buildings that was done at the same time. It has the same kind of, so I looked at all the comps, for a 1-bedroom with a garage space, $185,000 or $184,000 is very fair. There have been several that have sold for $190,000. The difference in sometimes being a small amount of square footage, say 740 versus 770. Amenities, one of the buildings has a beautiful outdoor pool and a sauna. So taking all that into account, 184,000 is a very fair value for this property.
Thank you. It looks like it's down currently from the previous year of 189.5. Any other comments or questions from board members? I will ask for a motion then.
I will make a motion to sustain the value of 184,000 for the property at 2700 44th Street West, number 306.
Second?
It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Bland to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $184,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
5 ayes, the motion passes.
That concludes the write-in appeals. We will now consider an act on those call-in appeals that were presented to the board earlier today. We'll start with the first appeal for 2301 Emerson Avenue North, case number 200308. Are there any questions or discussion from board members relating to this property? I'll give you about 10 seconds to refresh yourself on this. What I've noted on this is that there seems to was assessed for in 2017 for 135, 2018 for 200, 2019 for 230, and now in 2020 for 274.5. That's a very rapid climb. Board Member Havig.
I had one clarification. Is it assessed now at 185,500?
The current valuation, make sure I'm on the right page here. Current assessed value is 274,500, and the indicated value after the assessor looked at it is the same, 274,500.
All right, and is the data correct that he gave us? I've got a note here of 48% increase in 3 years. Can that be substantiated, or did I write that down wrong?
I believe that is correct.
Can that be substantiated, that that's the increase in value for 3 years in that neighborhood?
That I do not know.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Are there any other comments or discussion from board members? Board Member Bland.
I can't say whether or not that particular percentage is correct, but I can, we do know that the values north side have gone up rather dramatically in the last couple of years. So there's real resurgence there, and things are selling well and selling for good prices. But I can't comment on the particular percentage.
Board Member Reed.
Yes, well, I know the north side a bit, and although the prices have increased, that particular area, Hoffman and Jordan, haven't seen that resurgence, and I don't think, I think that 43% is not in line with the rest of the area. That increase.
Momquist from the assessor's office.
Chair Anderson and members of the board, I would encourage you to, rather than focus on the percent of increase, I would encourage you to focus on the 2020 estimated market value, because it may be that the values were low previously or high previously, you know, so I would ask you to focus on what the true January 2nd, 2020 value is rather than how much it went up.
My other comments have to do with the assessor's adjustments for the remainder of the year in 2019 were very large as well, averaging close to 15,000 or 14,000. So I do feel that number is a bit high. Patrick Todd.
Chair Anderson, I was just going to reiterate pretty much what you were saying. We do have an appraisal out there that my staff had conducted, so we would hang our hat on the comparable sales. So if you and the board members have a different opinion on the adjustments, that's absolutely to your purview, but we absolutely would recommend not looking at the percentage of increase because, like my director had said, the values could have been wrong on previous years, and this is more appropriate. So we would appreciate it if we can focus on not only the staff appraisal, but the information provided by the property owner as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
Well, I will make a motion to sustain the value at $274,500 at 2301 Emerson Avenue North.
Do I have a second? Feel free to jump in.
Tinker, second.
It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $274,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Nay.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Nay.
With 3 ayes and 2 nays, the motion passes.
Thank you. The appeal for 3043 35th Avenue South, case number 20-0083. The property owner, Jesse Oman, called in earlier. Are there any questions or comments from the board members on this property?
This is the one based on my notes that we had 600 feet that was being contested and the city substantiated the measurements, correct?
I believe so, correct.
Thank you.
For failure of any comments or questions, I would look for a motion. Board member, oh, excuse me, Tinker.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the measurement. I think the homeowner did say that he measured it from the exterior on the ground floor, and I think, unless I'm mistaken, I think it's different than what the assessor has, but I guess in the absence of being provided with a better building sketch from the property owner, we're going to have to rely on what the assessor has on this.
Okay.
Clarification, assessed value was $422,500.
Correct.
Well, based on everybody's comments, I would make a motion to sustain the value at $422,500 for the property address of 3043 35th Avenue South.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Identify yourself, please.
Bland.
Thank you. It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Bland to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $422,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Nay.
With 4 ayes and 1 nay, the motion passes.
Thank you. Appeal for 305 Cedar Avenue South, case number 200209. This is one of the 3 commercial properties that the property owner Rodney Johnson called in earlier today. Are there any comments or questions on this property? Board Member Tinker. Board Member Tinker, go ahead.
Yeah, these comments basically apply to all 3 properties. I have a lot of experience appraising commercial stuff in that neighborhood. In fact, I think I've done 4 or 5 appraisals within maybe just 2 or 3 blocks of the properties. And in my estimation, he didn't really provide anything that would suggest that the assessor's amended values are incorrect. I know he did mention his business sales were down, but that's not necessarily correlative with a decrease in commercial values. Some of the things he mentioned too, like coronavirus and the parking potentially disappearing and the $15 an hour minimum wage very well may have an impact on values going forward, but not as of the effective date. I'm very familiar with the comparables that he used. In fact, I've appraised myself several of them. Using comparables outside the neighborhood is obviously imperfect, but that's just the nature of the commercial appraisal. I thought the assessor's income workup was very fair. In my experience, that neighborhood is in high demand because of the population density around it, and you're so close to the U, so housing units are also in high demand. So that's my thoughts on it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from board members? Board Member Reed.
Yeah, I had a question, and it's just out of curiosity. He mentioned the parking disappearing. Is that a done deal? I know it doesn't. I agree that it wouldn't affect this particular year, but I'm just curious. Was that passed? Is it going to go away?
I do not know for certain on that, and obviously did not affect last year, and I don't know what the plan is going forward, how soon that'll be affected.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Havig.
I guess, yes, for clarification, I've got numbers written all over the place. Is it the fact that there has been 2 of the buildings that have been lowered and 1 that stayed the same?
The one that we're reviewing presently, 305 Cedar Avenue South, was the original valuation was $506,000. The indicated value is $490,000. So that's a reduction of 16,000. On subsequent ones,
I believe the value is sustained on 309, but I believe on 317, it's lowered from, I think, 498 to 420. So yeah, the assessor has agreed to a reduction, I believe, already.
yes, you are correct on all of those. Thank you.
Okay, and then is there any reason that we should be discussing did the one that stayed the same, did it go up or stay the same?
The indicated value stayed the same.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Starting with 305 Cedar, case number 20-0209. Do I have a motion from a board member? Tinker?
Yeah, I'll make a motion on 305 Cedar Avenue to, I think that would be considered a decrease to 490,000, which is the assessor's estimated value after their appraisal.
Thank you. Could you state that dollar amount with the property address again?
Yep, I move for a value of $490,000 for 305 Cedar Avenue.
Do I have a second on that?
Bland, second.
I think it has been moved by Tinker and seconded by Bland that to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to 490,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Appeal for 309 Cedar Avenue South, case number 20-0210. Are there any questions or discussion from board members relating to 309 Cedar Avenue South? This one is currently assessed at $869,000. The owner, or the indicated value, is the same. The owner requested $780,000. Board Member Bland.
Based on the comments made by Mr. Tinker, who has expertise in that area, I would move to sustain the value at $869,000 for the property at 309 Cedar.
Tinker, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $869,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay, the appeal for 317 Cedar Avenue South, case number 20-0211. Are there any questions or discussion from board members related to 317 Cedar Avenue South? Board Member Tinker.
For reasons stated previously, I make a motion to decrease the value to $420,000 for 317 Cedar Avenue.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that?
Havig, second.
It has been moved by Tinker and seconded by Havig to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $420,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay, the appeal for 346 36th Street East, number 346, case number 20-0182. Are there any questions or discussion from board members related to 346 36th Street East? It almost becomes a tongue twister. City assessed market value is 157.5. And I believe the owner is requesting 115. Board Member Bland.
I need some clarification on this repair, this work that was supposedly done on her neighbors that got assessed to her. Can I get some clarification on that?
Is there someone from the assessor's office that can comment on the work issue that was done on the neighbor's property that was attributed to this property?
Chair Anderson, Board Member Bland, I would ask Alyssa Brown to provide the explanation.
If you're available.
Hi, Chair Anderson and members of the board. There was a permit pulled and placed on this property incorrectly, and it wasn't until the homeowner responded regarding her valuation notice that we corrected the error. Are there any other questions?
So was the valuation in any way affected by that permit?
The value for 2020 originally, or the review value for 2020?
Either or both.
The initial value was impacted by that, but the review value completed by Matt By did not reflect any permit add done to the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the indicated value remained the same. Matthew By.
I was only looking to comment on your question. It's been answered.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from board members on this property?
Yeah, Matt, as far as what I remember, the homeowner saying is that it was appraised with the permit for X, and then it was reappraised without the permit for the same. Can you comment on that? Was that just a misfire with the permit, and then you just figured the value again was the same?
Mr. Chair, Board Member Havig, that is correct. The permit ad was added to the property. It was put on the property incorrectly by permitting, and it should have been attributed to a different unit, as was stated. But in looking at the property afresh, without considering the appraised or the assessed value, looking at it as an individual appraisal, the indicated value was $160,000, which did support the value of the property, the assessed value of the property.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So it's valued at $160,000.
His desktop assessment said that, and then but the indicated value from the city is 157.5, which is the same.
Okay. All right. I've got so many numbers. Mark it back. There you go. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I move to sustain the value of 157.5 for the property at 346 36th Street East, number 346.
Tinker, second.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $157,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havig.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Appeal for 1786 James Avenue South, case number 200013. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this property? This is the one they had an appraisal done in November of 2019 for $1.2 million. The original assessed value is $1,275,000. The indicated value was $1,225,000. The owner is requesting $1,195,000. So a reduction from the appraised amount from last fall. Board Member Havig.
I would say I'm going to have to recuse myself on this just based on the comments that the homeowner said during her presentation, indicating Lakes Area Realty as a valuation marker.
Okay, thank you for that. Board Member Bland.
The homeowners spend a lot of time trying to convince us that she doesn't have a very nice house, but I think she does. You know, I guess I would argue for the indicated value of $1,225,000. But you know, open to.
I would agree with that. The research seemed appropriate, and it seems like the indicated value is reasonable. Are there any other comments, or I would accept a motion?
I move that we sustain the indicated value of $1 million.
I believe it's will be moved to decrease to the indicated value.
I move that we decrease the value from the $1,275,000 to the indicated value of $1,225,000 for the property at 1786 James Avenue.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second, Reed.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Reed to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $1,225,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Chair Anderson,
Yes.
may I clarify?
Yes.
This is sometimes confusing, and because what happened, unless staff will correct me, is that we reviewed this property quite a while ago, and we came up with this indicated value of $1,225,000. The property owner was notified well in time outside of the 10-day window, so our new assessed value is actually $1,225,000. So the board would be then sustaining the value of $1,225,000. I apologize for the confusion.
Is that the same on all of the ones that have indicated values?
That is not true.
Okay.
If we were not able to properly notify the property owner 10 days before May 6th, then you would be reducing the value.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask Board Member Bland to amend her motion.
Sorry, I was gone there for a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All
I'll
right.
ask Board Member Bland to amend the motion to sustain the indicated market value of $1,225,000.
Thank you. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Reed.
It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Reed to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $1,225,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havoc.
Abstain?
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 4 ayes and 1 abstention, the motion passes.
Thank you. Appeal for 3605 4th Avenue South. Are there any questions or discussion from board members relating to 3605 4th Avenue South? The city assessed value is $393,500. Indicated value is the same. Comments, Ms. Malmquist, or no, that was the previous comment. Any comments from board members?
I guess this is Havoc. I have one comment. He spent a lot of time saying it was a duplex when in fact he had 3 leases or three renters in place for a triplex. So I agree with the city assessor on the triplex valuation.
Thank you. Yes, it's may not have been built as a duplex or a triplex, but it has been converted to one. So it, in all intents and purposes, if it's approved by the city, it is a legal triplex. Are there any Bland, board member Bland?
It was rather hard to follow the reasoning by the homeowner, and that it was unfair, and yeah, it was really confusing about what the point he was trying to make. I thought that the assessor had done a good job of choosing comparables that were reasonably close to the subject property, and probably would suggest that we sustain the value.
Okay, and through the discussion, it appeared to me that the property that is the identical version of it, a street over, is still only a duplex, if I understood it correctly. So regardless, I would look for a motion here from one of the board members. Board member Bland.
No, I don't know that I'm ready to make a motion, but I did want to make the point that the appraiser also did an assessment based on the income approach, and the two were so close together that they reinforced one another, which again would, I think, speak in favor of sustaining the value.
Thank you. Would someone be willing to put forward a motion?
For clarification, is the value of $393,500?
Correct, and the indicated value was the same.
I will make a motion to sustain that value of $393,500 for the property address at 3605 4th Avenue South.
Bland, second.
It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Bland to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $393,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havoc.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. The appeal for 431 River Street, case number 20-0395. Any questions? Are there any questions or discussion from board members related to 431 River Street? The assessed value is $935,000, indicated value $875,000. The owner at two different points in the written material requested $777,060, and then on the phone this morning thought it should be in the neighborhood of $850,000. Are there any Bland, board member Bland?
I would probably be in favor of the sustained indicated value of 875,000.
Thank you. From the assessor's office, Ms. Malmquist, has the owner been notified within the proper time frame on this one of the indicated value?
I am looking right now. I may need staff to weigh in on this for me because I do not have the date that it was settled. I'm sorry, that'll take me a minute.
This is Havig. For clarification, was it 935,000 and lowered to 875?
Correct.
Thank you.
This is Andrea Jones. I believe the homeowner was contacted on the 27th. I'm having a hard time getting my govern software up, but I believe that was the date.
Okay.
That is correct. They were notified via letter on April 27th. Thank you, Andrea. So you would be reducing the value.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can I have a motion from a board member here?
I will make a motion to reduce the market value to 875,000 for the property address at 431 River Street.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Reed, second.
It has been moved by Havig and seconded by Reed to decrease the 2020 estimated market value to $875,000. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board member Bland.
Aye.
Board member Havig.
Aye.
Board member Reed.
Aye.
Board member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
The appeal for 2633 Pillsbury Avenue, case number 20-0617. Are there any questions or discussion from board members related to 2633 Pillsbury Avenue?
What is the page number on this, please?
Page number is 209. The city assessed value is at $694,500. The indicated value came in at $710,000. The owner is requesting $610,000.
For clarification, thank you for those two numbers. And the owner himself said 184 per unit times 4. That's 736. So it looked like he sustained his own value.
Okay. I don't have that in my notes, but I'll take your word on it. Is there a motion from a board member here?
A comment before I make a motion, and that is that the cost approach and the comparable approach, again, were very close. And so the 710 value seems reasonable. So I would move that are we sustaining the value now, Rebecca? Or increasing the value?
You can sustain it or make a motion to increase it. I believe there's a process for increasing that we'd have to go through.
Correct. Our indicated value upon review was $710,000, which supports the 2020 estimated market value of $694,500. If you did wish to increase the value of the property, we do need to properly notify the homeowner. And so you wouldn't want to take action on that until your next reconvene so that we could properly notify them.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
In that case, I think I'd like to move that we sustain the value, the original value of $694,500 for 2633 Pillsbury Avenue.
Thank you. Do I have a second? It has been moved by Bland and seconded by Tinker to sustain the 2020 estimated market value at $694,500. I will ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Board Member Bland.
Aye.
Board Member Havoc.
Aye.
Board Member Reed.
Aye.
Board Member Tinker.
Aye.
Chair Anderson.
Aye.
With 5 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. With that, we have completed all the items on the agenda for this meeting. I will ask members and staff if there are any other matters to come before this meeting. If not, and without objection.
Chair Anderson?
Yes.
I do actually have one process question I would like to ask the board for some direction on.
Okay.
Okay, as we begin scheduling the cases, the 201 cases that you still have remaining, where people want to call in to have 5 minutes to present to you, our intention is, as I mentioned before, to schedule them in blocks of time, and they would be heard in the order that we received the appeals. So that would essentially be in case order. So they would be scheduled for a block of time and enter the room to be able to speak. If there is a conflict and they are not able to attend, that meeting, I'm asking for some direction from you, because it is getting very difficult sometimes to schedule so many cases in such a short amount of time. That how would you like to handle those that can't be scheduled? What would you like us to tell them? Would you like us to tell them that they will be added to the record and their value sustained, or how would you like to go about us processing those?
If we add them to the record and the values sustained, they have the right to appeal to the county, correct?
Chair Anderson, that is correct.
So in the event that we are unable to schedule them all, I would believe that would be our only option, given the time constraints on this committee.
Yes, because we are, and rather than giving options, we are scheduling for a time certain, like 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Monday, May 18th. And if they are unable to make that time, they would be then sustained. Is that what you wish? I'll
take comments from other board members, but I believe that is what I would recommend. Board Member Tinker.
Rebecca, I don't know if you saw my email, but I don't think I'll be able to attend Tuesday. And I think Steve and Faye are also both out that day. So that I don't think we have enough people on Tuesday.
Yes.
I could on Tuesday, if we did 10 to 12:30, I can do my sales meeting from 9 to 10 and then jump on this at 10.
Is Tuesday afternoon not available?
Mr. Chair, you are correct. Tuesday afternoon is not available. There's another council committee scheduled at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Given the number of cases that we have to hear, I would encourage the availability of 10 to 12:30 on Tuesday, if we can make that work.
Rebecca, for some clarification, did you say there are still 200 remaining call-in cases?
Yes, or Chair Anderson, Board Member Tinker, I believe my count was after today, there were still 201 cases.
Okay.
And if we do the simple math on that, over the next 4 days next week, there's no way we can get that many call-ins done. So whatever we can't get to, we'll have to sustain and recommend that they appeal to the county. Does that answer the question, Rebecca?
Yes, so we will begin scheduling, like I said, cases in the order that they appeal to you, and that is in case order, starting with scheduling Monday, May 18th at 10 a.m. We are scheduling, I believe it is 9 calls per hour, leaving you 15 minutes-ish at the end to decide those cases. And if you don't have time, we've added some buffer time at the end of the day to finish the decisions for that day's cases. But you are correct with the time scheduled as of right now for the next week. I believe you scheduled Monday all day into 2 sessions, Tuesday morning 10 to 12:30, Wednesday morning 9 to 12:30, and another full day on Thursday. You still will not be able to hear all of the cases.
Thank you. Can we amend the Tuesday meeting to 10 to 12:30?
Mr. Chair, yes, we can.
Okay.
And I would also note on Thursday, we need to conclude the board business by 3:30 p.m., I believe.
Okay, thank you. If not, and without objection, I will declare this meeting recessed until May 18th, 2020 at 10 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
This is Faye. I have